DBSCG things.
What is up, you guys? My name is Taxon and welcome back to Yuhp DBSCG things, and today I'm bringing you another exciting battle. This one is just a fun battle between Gotenks Ramp and green gotenks. But before we get into it, guys, I do want to say, if you want any custom mats and or sleeves, hit up ProMats, guys. I'll leave a link in the description below. They did mine and my team's mats phenomenally. But with that being said, let's get right into the battle. Alrighty, you guys, so here we are. I am on the right playing Gotenks Ramp, and I am joined today by the newest Yuhp gang member, thingz, playing the one and only green gotenks.
What's going on, guys?
Alrighty, so with that being said, guys, we're going to go ahead and dive right in. As you can tell, we're doing our mulligan phase. We're shuffling up. In this specific game, I ended up rolling high. I believe I rolled a like 5 tier 3 or something like that.
Yep.
So here we're setting life, and I'm going to go ahead and like charge an energy and probably do nothing but my leader's effect. Since I'm playing a more control deck, I really want to see late turns, and I also don't want to help put cards in your hand. Even though I know you're going to be ripping yourself to 6 anyways, I felt since my leader doesn't draw when I swing, it was useless for me to rest that cardboard, so I kind of was like not swinging for the first few turns.
So it looks like I'm going to set it off with a charge, and then I'm playing out Gokill. Gokill is definitely a main important to this deck. You want to get him out turn 1. You want to be able to pull out that 6 drop, you know, your fusion.
Absolutely.
So it looks like I search through my deck, grab him.
Absolutely, the foil copy.
Oh, yeah.
Drip, drip.
And then I'm going to start it off with swing and lead. Looks like he's going to end up taking it. I'm not going to combo. And then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to pass the turn.
Yep, absolutely. So that's a pretty generic turn for gotenks. Being that this is a chain deck, it really has very set turns. I'm not a big fan of decks that play out like that, but like certain decks that do things like that play out very great. Like starter deck Vegeta, Gotenks, for example, like they all have set turns. Like they have a turn 1 searcher, turn 2 unison, and then from there on out they're playing their monsters. So that's kind of how that deck works, man. Gotenks, you play a guy, you get your search, you go into your next turn, which you're doing here. You probably play a unison. Which I did on my turn. I was kind of talking about gotenks during the process, but yeah, on my turn I just charged an energy, played out my unison, ramped with it, and passed. Here you're doing your whole shenanigans. You get to play a unison. What it does is it activates your awakening on your leader, which you get to rip yourself to 6, stand 1, draw 1, whenever you have a 2-cost unison in play.
So it looks like I'm going to go ahead swing lead, I believe. I'm going to swing a lead with my unison. Oh, no.
Yep.
Swinging at his unison. Don't want him to get that -5 effect. So I'm going to try and keep him below 5. More in the comfortable zone at around 3 markers.
Yep, absolutely. That's smart, too, because that board wipe is massive. Like, I mean, Gogeta in general has decent removal compared to other blue decks, but having that Xeno Unison just adds so much more. The only downfall to that card is that it resets my board as well. So if I have any part to my Gogeta chain out, like let's say I have the 6 drop out and I want to use it for an 8-cost evolve later, I'll have to sacrifice the 6 drop in order to use the -5, or I'll just have to time it right and drop the -5 before I use the 6 drop. So that's how that kind of works out. So here I don't really do much. Like I said earlier on, I kind of just like use my leader effect and pass most of the time. So I ramped, used that effect, passed. Going back to his turn, this is normal Gotenks stuff. It's his turn 3, so this is his fusing turn. He gets to use the Trunks that actually looks at the top 7. How do you feel about that card? Do you like that card?
Yeah, I like it, especially being able to search out your unison. You're plussing your markers. You know, on your turn 3, you're at 4 markers. You plus again, you get to 6. If you do hit the unison and they don't swing at it, next turn you can bottom deck your unison, giving off that -7 effect, which is also pretty nasty in my opinion.
Yeah, that -7 is real
I mean,
gross.
your opponent chooses 3 cards from their hand, places them in their drop area, and then I get to look through his life and then pretty much pick a card, place it in his drop area, and he gets to shuffle his life back. I just feel like that's definitely a pretty nasty -7 for a unison.
Especially since you're leaning heavier on towards the hand destruction route for your Gotenks deck. So having that extra hand destruction on top of, like, per se, like a Ribrianne beforehand or something, super detrimental. Or especially if you hit that -7 right before you go ahead and drop Selzeno or something like that, that's massive, you know. That's basically a free Rip 3 along with a Rip 3 from Selzeno, so that can get pretty rough. So here you swing a bunch, you end up knocking me down pretty low, along with keeping my unison at 3 markers, like you were saying earlier, just keeping them at that safe distance, so you never really have to worry about that -5 effect. But now it's going back into my turn. I use my leader's effect here. Here I get to hit a Goku, which is pretty cool. It's a little late for this Goku because he's really just a self-awakener. What happens is when you pitch him for a fusion, you get the Rip of Life. So now that I'm at 4, he's really kind of useless. Also, I really didn't see a Veku. Or, no, I had a Veku and I had Vegeta. What it was I was missing a Goku. So I finally hit the Goku I needed. I actually drew into one from life the turn before, so now I have 2 Gokus in hand. And prior to I actually brought this up during the play. I had charged a Veku in the beginning of this turn, and I was like, man, if I would have held that Veku, I could have awoken and dropped 2 Vekus in one turn, which would have been sweet, but unfortunately I didn't play that quite out exactly how I needed to. Not saying that I honestly needed to drop 2 Vekus, which, I mean, that you really don't need to. It ramps 2 once a time anyways, so here I go ahead and use my leader's effect. I pop the draw effect on, I pop an energy to use the draw effect on my leader, and I just pop the Zeno energy. Smart play, like probably the best play in this deck, especially if you're running the Zeno Unison, which you probably should be if you're running Gogeta. That's just free draw power, man. I used that energy to play out Veku, which essentially makes him a 2 cost, and then I pop in and draw 2 off it, which is very, very beneficial.
So now that he's awakened, what is it?
That tap 2 effect,
yeah.
That active main. Yeah, very detrimental. See, as you bring it up, I tap 2 and I bottom deck the 6 drop, which does trigger your effect, but I figured as long as I can keep those 6 drops off field, I never really have to fear Zeno.
So, I'm standing on my cards to active. Gonna do a draw, charge. I believe here I end up charging another Rosie. I just thought in this matchup it wouldn't be too necessary. Gogeta does tend to draw a lot. I believe it's almost 3 cards per turn.
Yeah, absolutely. I did say that actually during the game. I was like, man, hand destruction is going to be rough because I'm drawing 3 a turn. Leader draws, and then that Papa energy effect to draw 2. That's 3 cards a turn, on top of the fact that the draw 2 is basically free if you're just ramping off off the Zeno and then popping with the Gogeta effect.
So that 6-drop gotenks card is probably hands down one of my favorite cards. I mean, he comes out for 2 energy for fusion. He has deflect. When he does come out, he's got an auto where I can KO a battle card, and then I get to draw 2.
Of any cost, too, which is huge. As long as it doesn't have barrier, it's gone.
Yep, and then my unison as well has an auto. Whenever I activate a union skill, I get to draw a card. So essentially, when I play out my fusion target, I'm dropping 3 cards from hand. I'm playing out my fusion, the targets, and then it's actually letting me pick those 3 back up and also KO a card.
That's nice. Not to mention, like we were bringing up earlier, if you're playing that Trunks card and you do hit that top 7, you do get that extra card. So, like, let's say you top 7, you hit the unison, that's a card to hand, and then you get to draw 3. So that's 4 cards back to hand after having to drop 3 for 2 energy in order to put a dual attacker pop a card on field. So that's pretty sick.
So I started off by swinging lead. It looks like he's going to topo me. Very tough card to deal with.
Especially being that you're playing green. There's only one answer really that's like viable for green really, and that's going to be like either Focus Breakthrough or the Dodoria. And in my opinion, Dodoria is nice. I do have you running Dodoria
2 copies
in that deck.
Yep,
right
2
now.
copies.
Just because I felt like in the situation we were at a higher life like this, it's 4 energy right now. You're still at 6 life. You wouldn't even be able to activate Focus Breakthrough. But here, if you really needed to, you could have tapped 1 and played Dodoria out, countering my Flood Negate and also getting your turn to continue adding that pressure with those dual attacks, your unison, and also having the fact that it's a 5k combo power in hand makes it so where it's never a dead card in your hand. You're never actually, like if you're pushing for game and you have a Focus Breakthrough in your hand for a combo power, you're probably going to warp it off with with one of your super combos. You're going to bottom deck it with like your super combo. You're just going to not use it. It's a dead card. But if you're going for game and you have the Doria in hand, it's not a dead card. At least you can still combo it. So here's my turn. This is a very a big play for me. So here I swang lead because I didn't have a Vegeta in drop, so I comboed my Vegeta. He dormanted on it, so I got lucky. I actually got to combo my Vegeta. Here I use the tap 5 effect on that Gogeta. What it does is it shuffles all the Gokus and Vegetas from my drop into my deck. I have to have at least one of each in order to use the effect. And then at the end of the turn, I'll ramp 2. Thing with this situation is, like I brought up earlier, I can't use the -5 unless I want to reset my board as well, which I didn't. And I kind of missequenced this turn, so I wasn't able to -5 off my Unison before playing the Gogeta, which probably would have been a more beneficial play. But here I was like, you know what? I still got 2 energy up. I'll just tap 2 and get rid of the 6 drop anyways. Here you still get your auto. You pick up your dudes. Yada yada. That's just the way it works. Here I use my effect. I pop an energy and I get draw 2 and I pass. And then I get my effect off the Gogeta to ramp 2. Luckily and super clutchly, I hit a red and a blue, activating my topos.
So this is definitely going to be my big play turn. I'm going to be at 5 energy. Everybody knows that's when Cell Zeno comes out. I do actually have Cell Zeno in hand. Sitting here trying to think about what to charge. Don't want to charge any of my targets or anything like that. I'm trying to figure out how I can get Cell out of play. So it looks like I start off by tapping 2. I believe I go into my fusion again. Nasty. I get the draw 3. KO card. KO topo.
Yep. That's a big thing about the Gogeta in this matchup, is I feel really safe playing Gogeta in a green matchup is because none of the counterplays hit my cards. They all have barriers, so all the way up my chain, I'm protected. Like the Veku, he's a barrier blocker 5-drop 10k. The red blue 6 cost is just a barrier like 25k, and then the 10 drop that I play for the big boss monster is a big barrier 30k or 35k or something like that. So
it looks like I swing lead with gotenks, and I probably, looking back at it now, I probably should have swung with my leader. I did see he had 2 energy inactive. I should have expected the topo. He ends up hitting me with the topo. So now at this point, I'm trying to figure out how I can get cards out of his hand.
Look at me shuffling my hand already. I'm like, oh, here comes the ripping.
Get Cell Zeno out. So I believe on this turn when I drew, I actually pulled into my Unison. He does have 6 markers right now. So I am going to stack my Unison, do that -7 effect, make him choose 3 cards from his hand, place him in his drop area. And then I'm going to go ahead and scoop up his life, and I believe I end up grabbing a Dimension Magic out of it. I don't want him getting lucky, taking an attack, grabbing a Dimension, being able to negate.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, and this is a super clutch spot right here. So I have 9 cards in hand here. Here you pay 1, and I like the way you actually play this out because I would expect you just to like pay 2, put another fusion into play. But here you're like, all right, well, I activate this guy's effect. He's a 3 cost, by the way. You crit a life and you play him. He's a 15k attacker, and then he has another activated main where you can return him to your hand and look at the top few cards for like another fusion target or unison or something like that. Well, the biggest part about him is that he crits a life and comes out for 1 energy. Well, you're utilizing that along with the Trunks' effect, which is an activate main for 1 green, which you're doing here. You pitch the Trunks, and then you go and find a Goten from your deck and play it. Which in my opinion is just crazy good because now you just as easily as tapping 2 and fusing, you just tap 2 for 1 life, put him on field, and then also this Goten from deck, which makes it to where you easily now go here. You're telling me, yup, I got 12. Here's Cell. So now I'm like, okay, here's 3 more cards, which, like I was saying earlier in the video, detrimental when you drop that Unison effect right on top of the Cell. Now I just lost a total of 6 cards in 1 turn. I have 9 cards and 2 of them are Dimension Magics. And here I was praying. I was like, please don't hit my negates. I need those. And dude, every time you pulled a card, I was like, no. Please don't let it be the next one. And I managed to actually clutch and keep my 2 negates. So here you swing. I rip. You get to pitch 2 for it, which you already did.
When I did that swing as well, those 2 that I pitched, I actually pitched a Zarbon and
a Ribrian.
Yep, Zarbon and a Ribrian. So I intend on using those next turn to survive next turn. I believe I have 1 energy standing up, so I did want to pitch the Zarbon just so I could tap the 1, discard 1 from hand, bring him back into play, and he's a blocker. Normally I like to get him off when I do have my Unison, because the plus on my Unison pretty much gives all my cards
Yep,
revenge.
absolutely.
So if
He's
I
a
have
blocker
that blocker,
revenge.
yeah, if I have that blocker revenge for 1 energy, it's awesome. And then I believe he has another auto when
5 or
he's
less
KO'd.
discard.
Yep, when he's
Absolutely.
KO'd, if my opponent has 5 or less cards in hand, they drop a card. So that's just adding a little bit more advantage to my gameplay here of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to pretty much obviously minus his hand down and then drop that massive quad strike on him.
Absolutely, which you would have got away with if I didn't have those negates, man. Or if you would have ripped one, it'd have been over, because if you'd have dropped your entire hand, which I can see 2 super combos in.
Actually, too, when I ended up pulling the life for Trunks, the reason that I did that, obviously the reason was so I could
It
be able to
activates
get
those negates.
Yep. It activates the negates, homicidal clones, and it actually makes my super combos live as well.
Yeah. Well, the super combos 5 or less or 4 or less? I believe they're 4 or less, but as long as you you rip yourself from 6 to 5, and then you're live on that negate. When the best part about the negate, anyways, is that it rips you from 5 to 4 to get your super combo live, anyways.
Yep.
So you had that lined up.
Yeah, I had that
So
all
that's
backwards.
huge. So
My
here
bad.
I'm going ham. I fuse. I drop a Veku. I use my top 7 search. Here I'm trying to look for another 10 drop because you ripped the 10 drop in my hand.
How many copies of that
I run
card
2
do
copies of that card in my deck, so it's
Oh, so that
it's
was
rough.
rough.
It's rough when I get it discarded. But there's a clutch play that I'm gonna play, and I'm not gonna spoil it right now commentating. But next turn there's a very, very clutch play and a clutch card that I'll bring up once you see it. That easily gets that card from my grave. So with that being said, I did just fuse. I tried to hit a search. What I did is I whiffed. The Goku that I fused with came out of the anniversary box, guys. If you do not know, this card is actually really, really good. Whenever you fuse with it, at the end of the turn, you get to stand one of your energies up. So if you pay 3 and drop your Veku, it's essentially a 2-cost card if you fuse with Goku, because you're going to be able to stand that energy back up and turn your, whatever back live. You could have a Dimension Magic you need live. It can turn your Trunks Heroic Prospects live. Anything really, just standing that energy up is clutch. So here I just waste out my last few energies playing some super combos, trying to get some extra draw, because I basically lost all of my hand trying to survive your quad strikes and your hand destruction.
This is definitely a tough turn for me. I pretty much pitched my whole hand trying to get that Cell Zeno attack off. Didn't get it off. He obviously comes back with his tap 2 bottom deck Cell, so
Yeah.
that's a big hitter there. Now I'm just trying to figure out pretty much how I'm going to be able to squeeze in 2 attacks, and I believe at the same time I'm going to try dropping his hand. Okay, so it looks like I'm playing Chilled. Chilled has an activate main for 2 energy. I can drop him from my hand, discard him from my hand, and he's gonna KO a battle card ignoring barrier. Now I thought I was gonna be able to get around
what it does
Veku.
actually is specific though. It KOs something ignoring barrier that is a total cost greater, or that is equal to or less than the amount of cards in your opponent's hand. So if there, I literally had 5 in hand, so that Veku, honestly, other than Topo, was his only target. So, like he was just trying to say, to just, not only just to get it out of the field, he wanted to try to save himself that block. So he got rid of the blocker beforehand of the swing, just to try to get one through.
Veku's effect still does end up going off because it does say KO card. It looks like I did hit him with a Ribri, drop 2. I'm trying to super combo now because I'm trying to get something to my hand. At this point in time, I had 4 cards in hand and 3 of them were super combos. So I'm just trying to see something to play out. That way I can hopefully get another attack in. I believe,
clutch.
only had 5 cards in hand.
Dude, so when you got rid of Veku, I ramped Hachiak and some, like, a random card. So I super combo my super combo out of the field, pick up Hachiak, and then I super combo my other super combo and pick up a certain Vegeta card from my grave, which you'll learn his effect in this upcoming turn.
Which was an awesome play. Awesome.
Which was clutch, because now I got both those cards out of my energy. My energy area is basically a storage, so I could just use my super combos and pick those cards up earlier. Here you try to play Zarbon, I just go ahead and drop the Trunks, say no to that. I don't want to have to deal with that. It doesn't really do much. You had to pitch a card to play it, and all it does is really put it back in your hand anyway, so it didn't really... All it did is tap you 1 energy and not really actually change anything about your hand.
I'm sitting there tapping my finger like, ooh, what do I do next?
Right? So here you pass. I stand up all my stuff. I get my draw. Here I count my energy. I'm like, do I even need to charge? Yeah, so I say no charge. I start off with the Vegeta Activate main. What this card does is I can pitch this card from my hand and grab any Veku or Gogeta BR card from my drop. So I grab the big boss monster. I pay 8 for its evolution. I pay 4 mono red, 4 mono blue. What this card does is he has auto on play. I can top 6 whenever I evolve into him, into my energy. And then I have a very, very easy Activate main, which makes it game. Unfortunately, if I have 15 more energy, I got game. So that is it. Anything you want to say, Kegel?
Honestly, it was a really good battle. I had a lot of fun, and I'm definitely enjoying being a new member of the team.